Storytime Rex, he loves the kids everywhere. Storytime Rex, Storytime Rex, he believes in you 'cause he cares. When you come home from school and you wanna play with friends, Rex will show you how all the time. Fishing with your dad or cooking with your mom, these things are fun for boys and girls. Storytime Rex, Storytime Rex, he says the answer is to love. Storytime Rex, Storytime Rex, learning is the key to be free. Storytime Rex, Storytime Rex.
Oh, hi, boys and girls. I'm so glad you could join us today. Today on the show, we're going to show you how to do some arts and crafts. And we also have lots of surprises in store. So I'm so glad you can join us on our 4th edition of Storytime Rex. This part of the show, as you already know, is the raccoon file. So I'm going over there to get my raccoon file. Today's topic on our raccoon file is going on vacation. Number 1, when you are traveling, you should always keep close to your parents. You should know where they are at all times, and they should know where you are at all times. Number 2, wherever you go, you should dress for the weather. We wouldn't want you to get sick. Number 3, if you're traveling along with your brothers or sisters, try not to fight with them, because it can make the trip a lot longer for your parents. Number 4, don't talk to strangers unless your parents are with you. And number 5, the best thing to remember when you are on vacation is to have fun. Actually, that point will go good in life. Have fun. And that's today's raccoon file. Now, let's go see if Kathleen's ready to read us a book. Come on. Hi, Kathleen. Are you there?
Yes, Rex, what is it?
I just found out my family is going.
Aren't you a lucky raccoon? Where are you going?
I don't know, but I hope it's nice.
Well, I have a book right here on a family vacation to Florida, if you'd like me to read it to you.
Yes, please.
It's called My Family Vacation, and it's by Dale Core Culsa. May woke up when it was still dark out. She helped Dad pack the car, just as dawn was breaking. May was getting ready to go on her first family vacation, to Florida. As Dad pulled into the gas station to fill the tank for the long drive ahead, it started to snow. "We're not leaving here a minute too soon," he said. May felt exactly the opposite. She stuck her head out the window and caught a snowflake on her tongue. "I love snow," she yelled. "I don't want to go." "Don't be stupid," said her big brother Richie. "We'll only be away a few weeks. It will still be winter when we get back." "Please don't call your sister stupid," Mom told him. All this is very new to her. They drove all day and far into the night. "I want to put as many miles between the snow and us as I can," Dad explained. May couldn't understand that at all. So far, she hadn't seen anything as good as snow. "Just wait until we get to Florida," Mom said. "You'll forget all about snow." When they got to the motel that night, May was so excited she couldn't fall asleep. She had never slept away from home before. She loved everything about the place, from the big bouncy beds to the paper covers on the drinking glasses to the writing paper and envelopes in the night table drawer. The miniature bars of soap, though, were her favorites. She took them all as souvenirs. "You're such a baby," sneered Richie. "It's just a bunch of soap." But May knew it was very special soap. "It's vacation soap," she told him. May and Richie spent the next day's drive seeing who could count the most trucks. Suddenly, May sniffed hard. "I smell burning rubber," she said. "You're nuts," said Richie. A few minutes later, wisps of blue smoke came streaming out from under the hood of the car. Dad stopped, and they all got out. "Where are we?" asked May. Mom looked at the map. "Right smack in the middle of nowhere." Later that day, a farmer towed the car to the nearest garage. The mechanic said it was beyond repair. Dad had to buy a used car. To celebrate, the salesman bought everyone ice cream cones. He gave May and Richie each a souvenir, a keychain with a little license plate with his name stamped on it in gold. May loved souvenirs. They were her favorite part of the trip. She bought postcards at almost every stop. She took a little sugar pack and a paper placemat from all the restaurants. The back seat was getting very full. The weather grew warm. By the time they stopped for lunch, they didn't even need sweaters. Richie bet May that he could eat his watermelon faster than she could. May tried her best to beat him. She even swallowed the seeds. But, as usual, Richie won. The motel they stayed at that day had a swimming pool. May dared Richie to jump off the diving board. "I dare you back," he snapped. Richie went first. He climbed onto the little board, ran to the end, and jumped off into the pool as if it were nothing. May was just climbing onto the board for her turn when Mom called that it was time to get dressed for supper. "Lucky for you, scaredy cat," teased Richie. "I am not a scaredy cat," said May. "I'll show you tomorrow." But the next day, there was no time to go to the pool. Right after breakfast, Dad announced, "Sightseeing today. Everyone into the car." Richie whispered in May's ear, "Next time." The things they did that day were so interesting, May forgot all about the dare. They went on a boat that had portholes under the water. They were so close to the fish that May felt as if she were swimming right along with them. Afterward, she bought 2 postcards of people water skiing. In the afternoon, they went to the parrot jungle. Big macaws and cockatoos whistled at them and screamed, "Hello, Joe!" and "Hiya, baby!" from every tree. May added 5 parrot feathers to her souvenir collection. They got back in the car again for the long drive down to Miami Beach. Richie was bored. "There are just so many cars you can count," he complained. "I love counting cars," said May. Richie punched her. May punched him back. Mom said to Dad, "I can't wait to get to the hotel so they'll have other children to play with." The hotel was very big. A bellhop carried their suitcases up to their suite. May quickly collected the little bars of soap from the bathroom. May and Richie changed into their bathing suits and took the elevator down to the pool. There was the tallest diving tower they had ever seen. May wondered if Richie remembered the dare. Richie stared at the high diving board for a long time. Then he turned to May. "I double dare you," he hissed. "Jump from the top." May was brave, but that diving board was very, very high, even for an adult. At every single step on the way up, she told herself, "I am not afraid, I am not afraid." When she got to the top, she walked out to the end of the long, narrow diving board and looked down at the glittering turquoise pool below. It was so far away. She felt very, very small. But then she saw Richie, who was always winning everything, waving up at her. May took a deep breath, closed her eyes, held her nose, and jumped off. It seemed as if she were falling forever. Richie was really impressed. He never called her a baby or a scaredy cat again. The hotel had a social director especially for children. She taught them games and arts and crafts. May and Richie hid whenever they saw her coming. "We don't want to sit around playing a bunch of dumb games," said Richie. "We want to go places." But Mom and Dad just wanted to lie beside the pool all day. "I saw some interesting places right near the pool," Dad said. "How would you like to go sightseeing on your own?" That suited May and Richie just fine. They had a great time together. They went to a penny arcade and played skee-ball with a sailor and a manicurist from Chicago. They went bowling in an alley that usually didn't allow children. "But since you two look like big spenders from the north," said the manager, "I'll skip the rules today." They played miniature golf among the palm trees. "First one to get hit on the head by a coconut loses," said Richie. He asked the owner if his sister could keep the little yellow scoring pencil as a souvenir. On their last night at the hotel, the whole family went to a nightclub. May drank pineapple juice out of a real coconut. She took all the little pink paper umbrellas from the drinks as souvenirs of that night. The next morning, May helped pack the car for the long drive home. They drove and drove. Richie bet May that he could count the most sports cars, but she was too busy sorting out her souvenir collection to play. The first night they put on their sweaters. The next day they put on their jackets. And the next day they put on their scarves and mittens. "It will be nice to sleep in our own beds again," said Dad. "And May has enough soap to last us until our next vacation," said Mom. That night they pulled into their driveway. May was surprised to see the snow. She had forgotten all about it. "But I'll never forget my family vacation," she said, and hurried into the house to arrange her souvenirs. So Rex, do you think your vacation is going to be like May and Richie's at all?
I hope so.
Do you have a brother that you would fight with on the way there?
Yeah. Does everyone collect souvenirs?
Well, most people collect souvenirs.
Maybe I'll bring one back for you.
Okay, you can send me a postcard, all right?
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Now that we have some time between the books, boys and girls, I want you to get up and join me in a song. This song I'm about to sing, it's called "If You're Happy and You Know It." I'm sure you know it, so I want you to join along. Ready? In 1, 2, 3, go! If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, stamp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, stamp your feet. If you're happy and you know it and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, stamp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, say hurrah, hurrah! If you're happy and you know it, say hurrah, hurrah! If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it. If you're happy and you know it, say hurrah, hurrah! Yay! That was very good, boys and girls. You did that very well, and I could see that. We have another song for you, and you can join in this one too. This is sort of like My Little Teapot, but in a more modern version. So, keep standing, and in 1, and in 2, fat, short, and stout. Here is my handle, here is my spout. When I get a steam up, I will shout. I said, tip me over and pour me out. Pour me out. Pour me out. Whew. I really like it when I do that one. Well, let's go back and see if Kathleen's ready.
So Rex, our first story that we looked at today was a vacation that was quite a distance from home. Do you have a creek near your place?
Yes, I do. If you follow it long enough, it goes into a...
It does. Well, then this story that I'm going to read you is called Walking to the Creek, and that's sort of like a little mini vacation that would be closer to a person's home. It's called Walking to the Creek, and it's by David Williams. Our grandparents' farm is very old. Inside, the house smells of bread baking and apple pie. On the walls are pictures of us when we were little, and Mom and Dad holding us before we could crawl. My brother and I have been coming to visit the farm since we were babies. Everything sounds and looks different from the city. Something's always going on. Grandpa has 2 dogs, Teddy Sue and Sam. They're the great-great-grandkids of the ones that lived here with Mom. They follow us wherever we go, snooping, sniffing, stirring up rabbits, cats, and sometimes even a skunk. The barn is a big red wall against the sky. Behind it, the pigs wallow, eyes tiny as beads. Pigs even sound muddy, we tell Grandpa, who says, they're the cleanest animals on the farm and about as smart as dogs. Teddy Sue and Sam would be insulted. The goat out back we call Gramps, though his real name's Pierre Goatee. He kind of resembles Grandpa, with his white beard, and he's the ornerest animal on the farm. We don't call him Gramps when Grandpa's around, only Pierre Goatee. The creek is about a half-mile from the farm, by Mr. Broom's field. Want to look at some fish? I ask my brother. You bet, he says, so we just start walking. Teddy Sue and Sam follow us, of course, and today they're chasing butterflies. There are hundreds of them. They look like scraps of colored paper someone threw out of a car. The garden has been taken over by tomatoes. Sometimes I think they could populate the whole earth, but we eat them so they can't. They're best topped with cottage cheese and pepper, or Grandma boils them down to sauce and stacks them in the cupboard in her big glass jars. Zucchini are like dark green boats with hundreds of passengers inside. Bell peppers are fat and bulgy. We imagine them ringing all night long, disturbing the potatoes, who are asleep and getting fat below the ground. Sometimes Grandma says, "Be careful, don't fall in the water," when we go walking to the creek, which is what she told Mom when she was growing up. Grandpa just says, "Have fun while you still can." Grandpa thinks he's too old to go with us, but I see him watching us as we get smaller and smaller until finally we seem like part of the road. Now the way is along chalk-white gravel. It's a high road we're on, but the corn is even higher. On the other side, an army of soybeans is crouched low with broadleaf arms. The dogs run back and forth between the rows, like spies warning everyone we are near. A pickup passes. We make way, holding Teddy Sue and Sam by their collars. Barn swallows swell overhead with their tail feathers pointed, forming perfect V's. Pretty soon, they're dive bombing us, protecting nests we can't see. "Try shooing them," I yell to my brother, who is just standing there with his hands over his eyes. Finally, we have to run for it. We're so out of breath, we don't realize we've gotten down to the creek. Then I see that it's different. Past the bridge is the way it's always been, crooked, with the current moving slow as it twists around the rocks. But on this side, a fence goes through still water, and green oozes up, insects dancing on top. Everything has been bulldozed and all the trees on the bank cut down. It's like there's been a war, my brother says, squinting. The crooked side is full of life. I climb on some old tree stumps and my brother follows. There's a big oak lying nearby and I start counting the rings on its stump. Each year a new ring grows, I remember Grandpa telling me once when he was cutting logs. I touch the good years and the bad years, but my brother is only interested in finding minnows. The cows pack the fence row along the creek, their black hooves plodding the muddy line. They have shovel heads and eyes as large as yo-yos. They see us and stare. The pale moon rises over their heads, but they decide not to jump. We walk on the trail near the water's edge. This was the home of Potawatomi, of the Sauk and Fox, Grandpa has told us. He says there are still arrowheads in the soil and axe heads that are rare as whooping cranes. I keep my eyes close to the earth, looking for signs. Teddy Sue and Sam go running ahead, and pretty soon we lose them. I whistle, but only Sam comes back. We keep walking. I'm calling, "Teddy Sue!" but she seems to be nowhere. Past the bridge, the mud bank is full of prints: raccoon, opossum, skunk, rabbit, and deer. We see a place where more trees have been cut down and garbage has been dumped and burned. Piles of old tires lie scattered about. We look inside one and find a brown nest with black feathers in the center. Tall grass sways along the bank. We cup our hands around our mouths, screaming, "Here, Teddy!" I imagine her stuck in a briar patch after trying to catch some Brer Rabbit who's just sitting on his hind legs laughing, thinking she sure was dumb. A muskrat sticks his head up and swims by. Sam sees him, howls, and jumps into the water. When Sam comes out, he doesn't seem too happy. He shakes himself on me until so much water's coming off his back, it's like he's soaked up half the creek. My brother laughs, but then Sam gets friendly with him, so I have my turn. The sun is buoyed on corn tassels on its way down. The sky is turning purple and red as we go on, calling for you-know-who. As we leave the creek, the water sound is the only thing, but then we hear a whisper sneaking up on us in the corn. Sam rushes after it, barking. It keeps getting louder, and we jump back, trying to see what could be making such a racket. Teddy Sue leaps from the field, wagging her tail. She's a mess of burrs, which we'll have to pull out of her hair later. She runs to us, prancing up and down, and we hold her. We ask where she's been, but she doesn't tell us anything. Heading back to the farm together, we feel like we've walked all the way to China. The sun has set, and we go toward the dark of the trees. Our grandparents' house is a single yellow light on the hill. Back at the farm, they're waiting for us. There is food to eat from the garden. Grandpa tells us stories. Grandma ticks when Grandpa's got tails get too tall. The dogs are outside eating from their dishes. Then they're whining to get in. As the Big Dipper rises, Grandma and Grandpa finally say goodnight. We try to go to sleep, but we hear crickets, bullfrogs, an owl, so we sneak Teddy Sue and Sam into the house and let them stay beneath our beds. When we dream of our parents. We dream of our grandparents, of the farm and the creek. We dream of all the things that are living in this world.
That sounds like a wonderful adventure. I'll have to look for some arrowheads.
Maybe some of those animals that they were talking about on there, especially that little raccoon, might have been friends of yours there, Rex.
Could be. You never know.
You never know. Bye-bye.
Bye. How about we start making those arts and crafts I talked about at the beginning of the show? My human friend Gus, which you'll only see his hands, will make some butterflies, some flowers, and some caterpillars. I can't make them because I don't want to get glue on my fur. So you pay close attention. Here we go.
To make a butterfly, you need 2 pipe cleaners, paper, and a black marker and some tape. Step number 1. Cut 1 pipe cleaner at the end, then bend it in the middle. Step 2. Take the second pipe cleaner and at one end, make a loop to the middle, then do the same to the other end. Step number 3. With the small pipe cleaner, bend the middle of it around the middle of the wing part. Step number 4. With the paper, cut the body of the butterfly. Make 2 of them. Step number 5. Make eyes on the body with the black marker. Step number 6. With the tape, make a circle around the wings of the butterfly. And step number 7. Then put the body parts on the tape. And there you have it, a butterfly.
Well, that's the end of our show. Boy, doesn't time fly? But we'll be back again for another edition of Storytime Rex. So you be good. Hey, and don't forget to read. See you later. Bye-bye.
Storytime Rex, Storytime Rex. He believes in you 'cause he cares. When you come home from school and you wanna play with Rex, Rex will show you how all the time. Fishing with your dad or cooking with your mom, these things are fun for boys and girls. Storytime Rex, Storytime Rex. He says the answer is to love. Storytime Rex, Storytime Rex. Learning is the key to be free. Storytime Rex, Storytime Rex. He says the answer is to love. Storytime Rex, Storytime Rex. Learning is the key to be free.